Hello, super quick video that you're going to find incredibly useful if you have a Lenovo IdeaPad 330-15ARR laptop, or a laptop that's doing what I'm about to describe. When it boots, you get blue screens of death, complaining about threads being stuck in device drivers. It freezes randomly, completely locks up while you're using it, so you have to hard reset it, and that often produces the blue screen of death. In other words, you can't use it reliably without the damn thing doing something annoying. Now that happened to this machine, and which was working fine until a major Windows update, and that update seemed to break Windows. So you know, reinstalling Windows, if it can't be recovered, is obviously what you do. So Windows was reinstalled and it still did it. Now, because it was working fine before this sort of update, it kind of suggests that it probably isn't, or probably wasn't, going to be a hardware fault. And it isn't. So if you do have an IdeaPad 330-15ARR, it's not broken. And this is actually going to tell you how to fix it. Now, just to illustrate that it is fixed, this one here has been watching an extremely interesting YouTube channel for the last just over a day, 1 day and 3 hours, as you can see down there. And it's been ticking away quite nicely, and I've walked up to it within that 24-hour period and wiggled it, and I've stopped the videos and I've opened other things, and I've just generally not aggravated it, but I've generally sort of used it, and it hasn't crashed once. Right, this is how you fix it. When you install Windows, it installs the latest available Vega 8 graphics driver. That will probably say 2020 on it. There is also one that you can download from Lenovo, which I believe is a 2019 one. You can also find one. Well, those are the only ones that you can generally get hold of. Those are the only ones that actually seem to be available. So you install Windows Update and it puts the driver on, it crashes. You install the one from the Lenovo support website, it crashes anyway, and it's like, oh no, my laptop's broken. But it isn't, because you have to find an older one. So let's look at the one that's installed on this. This actual driver is 20th/11/2018, and its driver version 2520 140.12.1003, and that one seems to be completely stable. Now, don't worry about finding that driver, because I'm going to put a link in the description so that you can download it directly. There's also a version of the GUI, the graphical user interface, because it has you know, you have the sort of Radeon settings. There's an older version of that as well, and there's a link in the description for that, and that is 1840.12.01. And that one, if I can get to the desktop, I'll just shrink all these down and we'll get to the desktop. I'll do the Radeon settings here. That gives you this, your usual sort of configuration options where you can tweak things. So there's two parts to this. There's the driver and there's the GUI. And essentially, to fix these annoying freezes and crashes and problems, you just have to install a driver that's old. The newer drivers just seem to break it. And unfortunately, Windows Update and the Lenovo website only supply newer versions of the driver, which don't work very well. So click on the links in the description and install that driver and it'll work. Right, how did I reach the conclusion that this was not a hardware fault? Because, you know, it can be a hardware fault. If you go to Device Manager and roll back the driver all the way back, deleting the installation files, answering questions like, because the new version of Windows asks you why you're rolling back. You just say that programs weren't unstable. You weren't stable. So you roll it back until you've got the basic Microsoft display driver. And then you just use it for a bit. It won't look very nice, and you won't have the sort of tweakage that you get with the Radeon settings, but just use it with the basic Microsoft display driver, and what you'll find is that it is actually completely stable, and obviously it doesn't crash, which means that this particular problem is entirely driver related and you don't need to bin your laptop. It also means that if you reinstall Windows, as I mentioned before, it won't actually fix the problem. You have to deliberately go looking for the older driver and install that. Now, if you're also worried that the driver might update in the future, there is a little tweak that you can add to the registry that stops it checking for driver updates. I wouldn't necessarily do that unless it does actually decide to update the driver in the future. So if you noticed it's crashing again, it's probably updated the driver. So anyway, I hope that's helped you. It took me a bit of time and a bit of swearing to work out what the problem was, but it's extremely nice to fix a problem like this. So I hope this makes your laptop work better. As ever, liking and subscribing is appreciated. If you have any comments, stick them in the comments, and thanks for watching.